Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching AskBQ on Bloomberg Quint Live. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza. Well, if you've got questions on equity, this is the perfect show for you. Send them to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or on WhatsApp. Alternatively, you can also call us on 022-4540-4141 or mail us at askbq@bloombergquint.com with all your queries, and we'll try and address them on the show today. But just don't forget to add the AskBQ hashtag. Before we get to the individual queries on the show, let's tell you what's happening with the markets. Well, the opening was quite strong vis-a-vis what we saw for the Asian, indices this morning, which were trading weak. So once again, we're just about flattish in trade. But remember, we did touch fresh highs in today's session for Nifty, Bank Nifty, and also for Sensex. The volatility seems to be higher as the index has been trending higher since the last few trading sessions. So since the morning session, India Volatility Index has been trading with gains of almost 5%. Probably there could be some bit of profit booking which one could see at higher levels coming by. Let's just pull up the Nifty contributors list and tell you which are the stocks that are probably capping the move on the upside today. So the biggie with 10% weightage, HDFC Bank is dragging the index lower. You've also got stocks like Infy, HDFC, L&T which are trading in the red territory. On the flip side, ICICI Bank is providing some support. Remember, the earnings came out on Friday post-market hour, so the reaction has come in this time, though the bank posted a loss figure. But remember, the brokerages are somehow enthused with the numbers because according to them, the kind of provisioning that they have factored in the first quarter could call for a re-rating for this counter. So besides ICICI Bank, other heavyweights like State Bank of India, Reliance also reacting to the numbers, and also HUL sitting in the green territory. Let's also do a check for the broader market indices, which are mixed, I guess, this afternoon. The mid-cap as well as the small-cap index, which had a gap-up opening in the morning session, have come off the highs. So small-cap still sitting with the gain of 0.5%, but flat trade coming in for the Nifty Mid-Cap 100 index. The market breadth actually gives you a better picture of the entire listed universe on National Stock Exchange. So in terms of market breadth, actually we're still doing okay. 2:1 is not bad at all, considering we've seen good market breadth in the last 3 to 4 trading session. The Nifty PSU index is the top sectoral gainer today. We've seen traction in stocks like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda. Nifty PSU banking index is up 4%. So the heavy weight of that index is, mind you, State Bank of India, which is sitting with gains of 3.5%. Also, the other stocks like PNB and Bank of India have edged higher. They're sitting with gains of 5%. Big earnings today among the Nifty constituents. So ahead of that, you've got stocks like Axis Bank, HDFC, and Tech Mahindra. You can see how the stock as of now are reacting. Axis Bank, Tech Mahindra up, whereas some bit of profit booking seen for HDFC. On the gaining side, just want to highlight few stocks. Gati, by now we know why the stock's been trending higher. There's an Economic Times report suggesting TVS Logistics is looking to buy promoter stake of 23%. Schneider Electric reacting to numbers which came on Friday. BEML, one of the F&O counters, is also doing well, gains of 8%. I just want to pull up Godrej Consumer. I guess the numbers came just 5 or 10 minutes back. The numbers are looking pretty good, but the stock's down. They've also declared a bonus of 1:2, but the margins for the first quarter have expanded to almost 17.9 versus 16%, which was seen on year-on-year basis. All right, that's about the markets. Keep an eye on all the stocks which will be coming out with the numbers, but let's get going and try and address our viewer queries. Our two experts for the day are Abhijit Phatak of Definedge Solutions and Parthiv Shah of TRACOM Stock Brokers are here to answer all your queries. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and good afternoon to both of you. Let's quickly move on and take our first query for the day. Tejas has written an email and he wants a long-term view on Jet Airways, and he also wants to know if there is more downside from the current levels of about 300 to 315. He's been accumulating this counter at lower levels is what he's been suggesting. So let's just pull up Jet Airways and check where currently the stock has been trading. Okay, it's 321 and he's accumulating around the level of 300 or 315. Parthiv, I'm going to come to you. Indigo is also, slated to come out with the numbers. We know the first quarter was not good because of the ATF prices going higher. But specifically for Jet Airways, if somebody is trying to accumulate in that range of 300 to 315 with a longer-term view, what would you suggest?
Thank you, Naomi. I mean, frankly speaking, I think amongst the aviation stocks, out of all the three stocks, SpiceJet, Interglobe Aviation, and Jet Airways, I think frankly Jet Airways is the least preferred stock because I personally believe that aviation industry, I think it's very, very important to be the cost leaders. And Jet Airways, unfortunately, I think if I were to compare in terms of their entire cost metrics, even if I were to compare their non-fuel cost item, they are extremely elevated as compared to that of SpiceJet and Interglobe Aviation. So I think does not give me the conviction because such companies, I think at point in times where what we are seeing right now, elevated, I think, fuel levels and also the depreciated currency, we tend to see they're really missing big time on their numbers and sometimes even going into operational losses. So I think Jet Airways does not give me that conviction to hold, despite I think in terms of the price, it has severely corrected. But I think unless until the earnings kick in, there's no point to buy into such stocks. So I think my sense is that the better way to play the aviation sector is through, I think, the market leaders, which are namely Interglobe Aviation and SpiceJet. No doubt you're absolutely right. The quarter one numbers, especially in terms of the yields, should not be extremely good. On all parameters, I think probably the street might be kind of disappointed. But I think a lot of that is seeming to getting priced into a stock like Interglobe and SpiceJet. So if at all one has a view of holding onto these companies for the next 2 years, and also with the caveat that oil prices does not inch up upwards of $80, I think these two are far better plays as compared to Jet Airways.
Okay, so Interglobe and SpiceJet could be a better bet if you want to take exposure into the aviation back compared to Jet Airways, is the advice coming in from Parthiv. I'm just going to take some technical queries now. Ayush Jain on YouTube writes to us, he's holding 1,000 shares of FAVOURS. Can we just pull up that stock price? His buying price is 560. His time horizon is short term. He's asking, should he be holding on or should he be booking profits? Congratulations, Ayush. That's a good entry point of 560. The current price is 621. Abhijit, on the charts, what would you suggest, booking profits or trailing stop losses here?
No, I think Havells is very strong and he should trade it, and I Havells to go towards 800 in the next few months.
What should be the target, Abhijit, in the next few months?
800 is my target in the next few months, so he should maybe use a stop loss of below his cost as of now.
Okay, so use a stop loss of below your cost is what Abhijit is suggesting, and the cost was 560 and 800 is the target which Abhijit will be watching out in the next 2 to 3 months is what he suggested. Let me also take the next query on Mahindra CIE, pull up that stock. It's currently sort of actually has bought 500 shares at 235 for short term, and the stock currently is at 258. So he's pretty much in the money. He wants to know if he can book profits. Abhijit, the same question on Mahindra CIE. Somebody's bought at 235. Should they be booking profits right now?
No, again, I mean, most of the stocks are showing quite bullish patterns. So what he should do is he should use a stop loss maybe a couple of % below today's low. So maybe something like 250 or maybe slightly lower. But they are quite strong on the charts right now.
Okay, hold on to this one too, looking pretty strong on the chart. Mahindra CIE 258 is the current level, not doing too much at least in today's trading session. Our next query comes in from Nitesh, who writes to us on YouTube. He's asking for some fundamental view on stocks like Bata India and Tata Elxsi, and let's not forget both these stocks have done pretty well in the recent past. He has a time horizon of nearly 2 to 3 years. He is asking if this is the right time to make a fresh entry in both these stocks or should he be waiting for some correction. Parthiv, I'm going to come to you. Bata's numbers were pretty strong and probably some bit of benefit also coming with the GST rates coming down for that segment of 500 to 1,000 rupees. Tell us, if somebody wants to make a fresh entry into stocks which have already moved higher, Tata, Elxsi or Bata, would you recommend them to buy at current levels or wait for some correction or avoid completely?
Namit, absolutely. They are like momentum stocks and they delivered well on the numbers. And such stocks we have seen, this is a market where I think such stocks are always rewarded further. I won't, I think, be brave enough to tell that, it's not a good entry point or you can sell off here or not take an entry. These both are quality names. And first, if I have to talk about Bata, I think the stupendous opportunity that lies ahead for companies like Bata who are into the organized trade and also I think have a very, very strong brand recall and the size of the industry which is growing quite rapidly and Bata is stealing a good amount of market share even in the tier 1 markets is, I think, very encouraging. So Bata certainly even here I would suggest a buy, and also would suggest to keep an eye on the stock. Any sort of declines in a staggering manner, it's a must add, and just give it 5-7 years. I think we are very confident of their growth story going ahead. Even the global Bata CEO was in the country and he was quite upbeat about the Indian prospects, which goes to show that they are very much focused here. Talking about Tata Elxsi, I think this is a company where earnings at times could be a little lumpy because of their innovation sort of a business, which at times does not bring in a lot of revenues or licensing deals. But going ahead, the way the company is placed, we are extremely bullish on it. And I think certainly we have seen what wealth TCS has created. Again, a same company from the Tata stable and a lot of backing from TCS as a company to a lot of technological innovations that Tata Elxsi does. So certainly I think it's a stock to hang on with and one can hold it for longer horizon.
Okay, that's the view on Tata Elxsi. In fact, Parthiv is also suggesting if somebody's bought Tata Elxsi, you can hold on, but you can also make a fresh entry into something like Bata, which the query was from one of our viewers. So we're getting a lot of your queries. Thanks for tuning in. Just a request, send one query at a time so that we can try and accommodate more queries from other people as well. I'm going to shift to Facebook right now. Aditya Nair writes to us. He wants a long-term view on ITC from the current level. So Parthiv, I'm going to come back to you. A counter which was languishing in 50 points range of 250 to 275 or 280 for the longest time has crossed the mark of 300 post the first quarter earnings. Positives came in the form of volume growth, cigarette volume growth for the first quarter of 2%, and also the recent GST Council meet did not touch the taxation part, I think, which is given some bit of momentarily uptick to the stock. In the longer term, considering this has not performed that well, if I compare it to the other FMCG peers, the valuations also better than the other FMCG companies. I don't know if it will be appropriate to compare ITC with other companies, considering more than 80% of the bottom line is coming from the cigarette business. What would you suggest if somebody wants to make a fresh entry here?
We are extremely bullish on this stock, and even going into the results on one of your morning shows, I had certainly given a very bullish stance. And it's a great company to hold in an overall scheme of things where most of the FMCG companies are quoting at upwards of 45 earnings multiple, wherein ITC is quoting at around 27, 28, and now after a certain re-rating around 30 times. Still, that is not very expensive in my opinion. And yes, I think I would like to compare it with FMCG companies because now the scale of business that ITC has in the FMCG segment is quite respectable, and the way they are growing and the way they are strategized in it, I think certainly over the next 5-7 years we'll see this being a very, very important part. And luckily the cigarette business is not declining what one thought, and I think even 2% sort of a volume growth is quite impressive as compared to what the street was envisaging, which was a negative 2%. So I think that business is also very cash generating, and it's a cash cow for ITC, helping it to diversify into other businesses, which is always a good strategy. So certainly I think I would give a thumbs up to the results and also hold on for someone having 5-7 year time horizon.
Okay, if you have a longer term time horizon, you can definitely look to hold on to ITC if you still have that stock in your portfolio. Abhishek Rai, he's got a technical query. Can we just pull up the stock of Yes Bank in the meanwhile? He's bought 500 shares of Yes Bank at a price of 335 for a shorter term period. He wants to know if he should hold or book profits right now. Abhijit, if 368 is the current price and our viewer Abhishek has bought Yes Bank at 335, should he be booking profits or once again trail stop loss?
He should book partial profits whenever it goes near 400, but he can hold it with a stop loss just below 350.
Hold it with a stop loss of below 350, but partial profits can definitely be booked is what Abhijit is suggesting. The next one is also on a banking stock. Pull up RBL Bank. Ankit's bought 500 shares of this one at a price of 515, and same query, should hold or book profits. What would you suggest, Abhijit, here?
No, actually all banks are looking bullish, so there is no question of booking, completely. So partial booking is fine, but they should hold them with a stop loss below Friday's low. Okay, that's RBL Bank for you. It's down 1% in today's session, and it's a hold coming in from Abhijit. On Facebook, Kalim Khan writes to us, and he wants a long-term view on a cement stock, India Cement. Parthiv, I could come to you for India Cement. We've seen a good correction, in fact, not only in India Cement, but also for the entire space, the cement pack. But some stocks have rebounded post ACC and Ambuja numbers. If somebody wants to take a long-term view on India Cement, what would your advice be?
Actually, my sense is that in the mid-cap segment pack, there are better names, wherein I think the quality of the plans, the quality of the earnings is a lot more visible. So as compared to India Cements, I'm more bullish on Heidelberg Cement. They came out with fantastic set of numbers. The EBITDA per ton is going up. They've done everything to improve the cost structure. They have a very strong brand. They're operating into markets where the utilization levels are high. The price realization is good. So I think Heidelberg Cement makes far better sense as compared to India Cements.
Okay, Heidelberg in the mid-cap cement pack looks better than India Cement is the advice coming in from Parthiv. Heidelberg in the last 12 months has actually given you returns of nearly 20 to 21%. Let me take the next query on Escorts, and this query comes in on Facebook from Thiagarajan. He's holding Escorts 3,200 shares, and he wants to know what can be the prospects with regard to stock appreciation from current levels. He definitely wants to hold on the stock for the next 1 year. Abhijit, let me take a view on, in terms of positional charts, how is Escorts looking when you look at, the next 6 months charts for this one or the previous 6 months? Is it slated to move higher from the current levels of 920?
Yes, Escorts is quite a bullish chart, and only thing is stop loss is a bit far off right now. It's almost sort of 100 rupees from your 820 is a kind of stop loss, but it is a long-term view, at least 6 months. But then it can go much higher, maybe above 1,000 with the stop loss of 820.
Okay, long-term charts of this one are definitely looking good, so hold on to this counter. Naveen Agarwal has written to us. He wants advice on IDFC. He's holding at 65 for 2 years. He's asking if this is the right time to average the counter. IDFC is currently at 49. Parthiv, what would you suggest? Exit, buy a better stock, or one can look to average at current levels?
Not very bullish on IDFC Limited, because again with the holdco structure, I don't know whether it will really re-rate a lot. But I think if one wants to play this group at all, it's better to go in for IDFC Bank, which after the merger with Capital First will have synergies, will certainly take time. It's not going to be very easy in the first year. First 1.5 years, it will take time for the merger to kind of synergize, and after which I think we'll see a lot of fruits emerging. But I think certainly, as we always discuss in the banking space also and in the NBFC space, there are a lot many other better names where one can bet on, and say names like RBL Bank or Federal Bank, which we time and again talk about in the private sector banking space, are the ones that investors will really be benefited with over the next 3 to 5 years.
Parthiv, in fact, we've got a query on Federal Bank. Ujjwal wants to know if this can be bought at current levels. So do you think after the move that one saw post the numbers, Federal Bank can be bought at current levels as well?
Yes, I do, because I think going into the results, the bank share was extremely beaten down and it was almost touching 52-week low. And after the results, the street was extremely positively surprised in terms of seeing what level of slippages they offered. The management commentary was also quite good, which was probably definitely a surprising factor. So we saw massive reaction that day. But ever since then, the stock has settled, and we believe over the longer horizon, there's still a lot of value in the stock at a lower than 2 times price to book going ahead. So I think they are extremely well placed, and we have full faith in the management ability to mitigate the current scenario. And I think they will certainly reward the shareholders. And any sort of increase in the size of the books and ROE expansion leads to a lot of price to book multiple re-rating, which we foresee should happen in Federal Bank.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Federal Bank. The stock's quite flat actually in today's session. Abhijit, is Reliance Industries a buy at current levels from a shorter term perspective?
No, definitely not for a shorter term, because it has run up quite a lot from 900. So I would expect some kind of pullback, maybe towards 1100 or maybe 1070, 1080. So it's not a buy at current level. Okay,
Ujjwal, you heard Abhijit giving his view on Reliance Industries. Wait for some bit of pullback, then take a position here, not at current levels. Harshvardhan wants some trading strategies going. So Abhijit, what's looking good on charts? If you can give 2-3 calls for our viewers who want to take a technical bet on some stocks.
One stock which is quite oversold over the last 10 days or so is Bajaj Auto, and if it again the stop loss is below 2600, so on any dip with the stop loss below 2600, it can go back towards 28 or 2900 in the month of August.
Okay, so that's Bajaj Auto for you. Remember, the stock had corrected a lot in the last 1 to 2 weeks post its earnings as well, and right now in the last 1 month we've seen correction of nearly 4 to 5% for this one. Rahul writes to us, he wants a long-term view on Divan Housing. He's currently holding 72 shares at 556, and he also wants to know if this is the right time to enter Sterlite Tech for the next 4 years. Parthiv, first a word on Sterlite Tech. We've seen the numbers also coming by. Is it a good buying opportunity if somebody wants to keep the stock in their portfolio for next 4 years?
See, absolutely. I think this is a fantastic company doing all the right things, and they have high capacity utilization levels. And I think overall, this is an industry where there are structural changes, where a lot of demand is going to get emerged. And Sterlite Technologies, especially with its backward integration capability and extremely high capacities, I think certainly going to benefit of this trend. And with their massive cash flow generation and no major new capex being announced, so the free cash flow generating ability will help them to par off some of the debt that they have, so which is also very good in terms of the improvement in the return ratios. So certainly I think if one is having a 3 to 4 year view, Sterlite Technology at current levels, I think yes, on face of it the valuation might look like slightly elevated, but looking into the growth prospect and potential 25-30% CAGR EPS growth, I think certainly this is a stock to hold on to.
And a view on Dewan Housing, Parthiv. There's a viewer who's bought the shares, 72 shares at 556. He's definitely sitting with some amount of profits. He has a time horizon of 2 to 3 years. Should this be a hold?
My sense is that we're not very upbeat on housing finance names, especially that like of Dewan Housing Finance. I think what I would suggest is better to switch over the money into some NBFCs which are delivering better ROEs, and say a name like L&T Finance Holding, or for that matter a name like HDFC Limited would be a lot better in such a market scenario where the yields are elevated. So I think you take this profit and switch it over to such companies. They are the resilient names and they will continuously compound wealth over the long horizon.
Okay, take money off the table in DHFL and put in something like HDFC, good pedigree stock as being suggested by Parthiv. Rangarajan Balakrishnan on Facebook wants a view on Dhanuka Agritech. He has a time horizon of 3 months and he wants to know what should be the stop loss and target price if somebody's taken a position here. Dhanuka Agritech is currently trading at levels of 553, Abhijit. At current levels, what would you advise somebody to keep a stop loss at, and also what can be the target?
Sorry, I didn't get the name of the stock.
Dhanuka Agritech. It trades at 553.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The stop loss for this will be below 515 and it can go towards 590 in the next few weeks, and if it crosses 600, it can give a further rise to 660, 670.
Okay, 660, 670 is the long-term target which Abhijit has highlighted. So watch out for those levels, the stop loss also, which he had suggested in today's trading session. I think Praneet Kumar wants views on TCNS Clothing. It's a recent listing, new kid on the block. Can we just pull up and see where it's currently trading? I think the stock got listed recently. Parthiv, any TCNS Clothing, it's down 11%. Remember, it's listed today itself. It's a new kid on the block. The share issue price was 700. And Parthiv, I was just looking at the valuations of this one on FY18 basis. The price to earnings multiple was somewhere between 45 to 46. Do you think the issue was priced too high?
Yes, absolutely, Namit. I think it was very aggressively priced, and also I think there is a question mark in terms of how sustainable the brand is. No doubt they do have certain asset-light business model, but I think looking at the past track record, except for the last year, I think the financials were not also very impressive. So I think even going into the IPO, we had given an avoid call, but certainly I think I'm not even buying into this weakness. I would avoid this counter.
The counter, and Parthiv is suggesting do not buy also into the weakness that you're seeing on day one of listing of TCNS Clothing, which is down 12%. Issue price was somewhere about 700 rupees. Let's move on. We've got Dhriti Raj Mitra who's calling us from Kolkata. Hi Dhriti Raj, good afternoon, and
yes,
thanks
hello,
a lot for calling us. Tell us what's your query on.
Yeah, ma'am, I got a share of TVS. In fact, for the last 2 years, I bought it at 375. Now, what is the present scenario like? Will I hold it or sell it?
Dhriti Raj, you're willing to hold on for the next, say, 1 or 2 more years, or you have a shorter term horizon?
Yes. Yeah, I can hold it for another 2 years.
Okay, you're willing to hold on. Can you pull up the stock price of TVS Motors? Dhriti Raj bought it 2 years back at a price of 375. Wow, you're sitting on good amount of money, so congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Parthiv, what would you suggest him to do? Book profits or stay put? He's willing to hold on for the next 2 years as well.
That is TVS Motors, right?
Yes.
So yes, I think this is a company where they've certainly had some market share gains, volume growth gains, but I think the point where it misses on slightly is the margin. So I think the management is also quite confident that over the course of time, they are going to hit the double-digit margins, and maybe that is also attributed to the fact that with the BMW joint venture, I think that selling higher numbers should certainly help the consolidated entity. But certainly a good quality management and a strong pipeline that they have in terms of the launches. No doubt recently, I think what Bajaj talked about in terms of a price war, in terms of cutting down their prices to have a bigger domestic market share might lead to some competitive intensity. But the rural demand is extremely strong, and TVS has done extremely well even in the competitive environment. So certainly hold on to this stock over the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, hold on to TVS Motors for the next 2 to 3 years as well. Parthiv, I'm just going to come back to you. There is this query that we keep getting almost every day, considering the sort of correction that one is seeing in the broader market. So there are people who want to make fresh investment now at these levels. Is there any stock which is corrected, which fundamentally looks attractive at current levels?
I think this is a market where I still believe that a lot of small and mid-cap stocks might underperform or even correct further. So not a bad idea to position your portfolio with some large caps, and amongst them I think the ITC stock that we just talked about, I feel this is a very, very resilient stock to own at such juncture. It will continuously compound wealth by 15-16% over the next 5-7 years, which is good wealth creation story. Also another stock in the large cap space would be Reliance Industries. Again, we are quite upbeat in terms of its earnings story going ahead over the next 2 to 3 years. And with good earnings, good free cash flow generation, we'll see this company even reiterating some part of its heavy debt. So I think these two stocks I would suggest in the large cap portfolio to be added in such a market scenario.
Parthiv, what about the mid caps?
See, Navneet, yes, and amongst the mid caps also there are some good quality plays. Say a name like Pidilite Industries, which again I think is doing extremely well. And again, I think it's not a stock where we'll see a massive correction of 20-30% and erosion of wealth. It's held by very good names who are bullish on the counter for the longer horizon. But again, on the overall mid cap story, we'll be a little selective unless and until there is a confirmation in terms of sustainability of earnings. It'll be difficult to give calls at this juncture, and we are seeing more correction in some of the mid caps.
Okay, ITC, Reliance Industries and Pidilite are three stocks, remember, which is being highlighted by Parthiv at this point of time. I'm just going to squeeze in one last query. Can we pull up the stock of Wiseman Forex? Sandeep Joshi wants an advice on this one for the next 1 week. Abhijit, come in on this one very quickly. The stock's called Wiseman Forex. 1 week levels, what should one monitor for? It's currently trading at 524.
Yeah, it is looking bullish, but maybe he should use a stop loss of 500 and above. If it crosses 550, then it can go towards 570. But stop loss of 500 is very crucial.
Okay, put a stop loss of 500 if you've already taken a position on Wiseman Forex. Well, on that note, we're running out of time. I want to thank all our viewers who have tuned in today and written their queries. Thank you very much, Abhijit and Parthiv, for joining us today and helping our viewers with their queries. Well.